Good afternoon. Welcome to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Nicole Inica Hamilton, back to open up with you about the latest in the dance scene. How are you doing on this beautiful and bright day? It's always so good to share space with you. Welcome to this dance space. You know, this afternoon, I was reflecting on time, space, how we move through moments, the rhythm, and I've spoken with you all about this before, the rhythm, the pulsation, the drumbeat of who we are, and those collective moments that permit us to make history and to carry on legacy. And legacy is the word of the day today. I'm so thrilled to enter into that conversation of legacy and celebration with my guests on the show today. Coming up after the break, Timea, Wharton-Suri, Travis Knights, Lisa Latouche, and Donny Milwalkee are all here in the house to talk about Dance Immersion's Legacy Tap Dance Concert. So stay tuned, stay locked in right here on CIUT 89.5 FM. Going to take a break and be right back after this. You're listening to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. Welcome back to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Nicole Inica Hamilton. Well, folks, listen, Dance Immersion's Legacy Tap Dance Concert with presenting partner Canadian Stage celebrates Black culture. Born from the Harlem Renaissance with a genre-bending intergenerational cast directed by Travis Knights and Lisa Latouche with the musical direction of Donny Milwalkee. Joining us as well is the ever so fabulous Timea Wharton-Suri, Program Director and Curator at Dance Immersion. So without further ado, please help me to welcome Timea Wharton-Suri, Donny Milwalkee, Travis Knights, and Lisa Latouche. Welcome to Turnout Radio. It is so good to have you all in the house. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You know what? I said this the last time when I had Timea on the show, Lisa on the show, and Travis. It always feels like home. It's like a homecoming when you are all in our presence. And now we also get to welcome into this home space Donny Milwalkee, first time on Turnout Radio. So great to have you here, Donny.
Well, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So we have lots to talk about, folks. You've been getting ready for a very special thing that's going to be happening in but just a few hours. And as we are getting ready for the excitement, I wanted to start with you, actually, Timea, to talk about what we're looking forward to, because as I was preparing for the interview, in particular, I started to reflect. I want to share this with all of you on the definition of legacy. And as I was taking time to do that, as we prepare to sit back and engage and learn, share, and immerse ourselves in the Black culture that we speak of, legacy in particular, I found this is something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. So let's talk about legacy. Let's talk about this beautiful word, legacy, and in particular, the Legacy series. And so, Timea, what is the series all about? And as you're doing this, talk to us as well about how it examines African diasporic dance forms.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. Dance Immersion's Legacy series is joining a movement that's happening and has been happening around the world, and we're doing it here in Canada. And it is about reclamation and celebration of African diasporic dance forms. We call it legacy because, as you mentioned, it's about what has been passed on to us, but also what are we leaving behind and passing on to others. And so we look at it from a place of African diasporic philosophy of time, that it's really fluid, past, present, future, and that what we are receiving, we can put our own mark on and pass on to others. And it still connects us to the past, but carries us forward with a futuristic vision for all of us. And this project really came about because of all of the information we have received from dancers and community members over the years about not knowing about the roots of the cultures of different dance forms, especially popular ones. Tap dance, jazz dance, salsa, so many. I mean, we could continue the Legacy series forever, because what happens when forms they become popular, appropriated, shared, sometimes positively shared as well, gentrified, is that the meaning can get changed for the wider community. And so that meaning changes to suit their culture. So the meaning of what jazz dance is, for instance, or tap dance. And so then when Black folks who are the descendants of some of the originators who really built the forms, when they think of those forms, they think that's not for me, but it is for them. It's just the gentrified version is not for them. So the Legacy series looks at providing education through symposia, but also celebration of the cultures, and the information is passed through in a different sort of cultural space. We're not at the ballet bar learning dance forms that don't belong there. We're talking about, again, past, present, and future at the same time as we're learning movement. We're watching amazing artists perform and embody what has been taught in the lessons. And then, new work is created, and we want to show that to the public, which is about, the Legacy tap dance concert here, and share that with others so that they can also not just enjoy the show, which of course they will, but also get a sense of the African diasporic culture and versions and what's happening in the scene with these forms. And, I just want to say already, I feel like this first iteration focusing on tap dance has been a success. We did a symposium in December, and many of the participants have become so excited about tap dance and wanting to learn more, things they just had no idea about in terms of the history of the development of tap dance and jazz music and the connections there. But also, we've just been doing rehearsals for the show this week, and already 3 of the crew members at different times came up to me and said, what I thought about tap dance was wrong. And they're just seeing snippets of what the artists are doing. And they said, I am so excited about not just this show, but about tap dance. I had no idea. And so that's exactly what the show was meant to do. It's meant to give the artists space to just fly how they want to fly in showing the beauty of their form without having to lecture, discuss, whatever, just show it. And already people just seeing snippets are like, I had the wrong idea. And they didn't say, oh, these folks are doing something so radical with tap dance. They knew, based on what the artists were doing, that they were seeing something that has been happening and they just were missing out.
I thank you so greatly for that, to me. And it does cause me to really think about a lot of the conversation that we've had, which did, of course, include Lisa and Travis in our last interview, where we were focusing on, you were speaking about the putting our mark on it, and in particular, the past, the present, and future, and the gentrifying as well. And so I thank you for that. And I want to follow through on digging in a little bit more as well, further to that with you, Lisa and Travis, because as we open up the pages of discussion on Black culture born from the Harlem Renaissance, the history within those pages speak to so many things: dance, music, the church, politics, and so much more. And so, further to what Timea is sharing, how will the Harlem Renaissance be shared through the concert? And in addition to that, can you speak and add to what Timea is sharing with regards to the art form and what it is that we need to be aware of as we drive and push the history of the art form forward?
May I?
Absolutely.
You know, this, I sometimes I just get careful with like reviving, etc. I feel like this is a moment for us to freely be ourselves, which is why every morning waking up, on the way to rehearsal, I was telling Travis last week, I was like, I can't sleep because it feels like Christmas morning, because it feels rare to be able to freely be our authentic selves, allowed, not having a producer or presenter tell us what they think they want to see in us. We just get to embody what this is that we do. So in terms of legacy, it's ushering in the ancestors. It's ushering in those that have paved the way, and also protecting the space, because the gentrification, the codification, the whitewashing, the erasure, all that stuff is like, at this point in my life, I just see that as really loud noise, obviously, will continue to be addressed. And this is a moment in Tamea's like very clear vision that is very accurate, a moment to celebrate who we really are, and for people to enjoy it, to experience this. It can cause a heavy heart to kind of say, okay, well, I know there's not as many people that have realized this is what it is. And then it opens up the Pandora's box as to why. But, one of our founding fathers, the great John Bubbles, he said it very specifically to his offspring. We got to remember, this is a hand-me-down, this is a passing on art form, right? It literally evolves in a different spirit, education-wise, tradition-wise, than other art forms, right? So John Bubbles says to his mentee, Chuck Green, in No Maps on My Tap, all we need is people to execute it, that's all. And I think this is a moment for us to just do the damn thing. And for us to just, in that, we honor them, and they're going to be there right with us. This isn't a space to correct what's happening. It's just it's a bright, rare time for the light to be shining on what this really is. So I'm ushering in us doing it as opposed to proving it, and really reminding ourselves within the whole ensemble that this really is us. This is for us. People come and can witness and experience, but this is not a moment to explain. It's really like, and that alone to me is ushering in the legacy. Just let it live.
Yes.
tap dance, it goes way back. It begins before the Harlem Renaissance. And as we're talking about legacy, it is tap dance. It is a way for the African heritage to come through to the present. Yes, absolutely. Tap dance is a consequence of drums being taken away and during slavery, but it really starts in Africa. And for this legacy series, the reason it's important for me to hone in on this time during the Harlem Renaissance, it's because over that time, you had a critical mass of Black people moving from the South to the North with different cultures. And they were coming together in these specific cities like Kansas and Chicago and Harlem, and people from completely different walks of life getting together and forming a new identity, a new sense of self, or a realized sense of self, the agency that came from the scholars and the artists that collaborated, that connected during that time. And so the reason why I'm hyper excited about this moment is because I get to work with the visionary or the vision within Timea Wharton-Suri, who comes up with this concept. I get to work with the incredible music director, Donny Milwalkee, who actively for years, wherever he is pushing culture, is working, pushing culture, gig after gig, band after band, whether in Toronto or in Halifax. He's thinking about culture. He's thinking about connection. My sister in rhythm, Lisa Touche, a world-renowned tap dancer, just coming off of Broadway. All of these experiences, working with some of the best musicians in the world. The idea for me that we get to collaborate and present this thing, it's beautiful. But not only that, we have. In order to expand the idea of the Harlem Renaissance, where you have a community getting together, tap dance, it's easy to limit it as to something that we do with the feet. And so when you see dancers Raul and Sabrina doing their thing, you'll understand that this is a part of a bigger thing, a bigger form that refuses to be named. Really, you can try to name it, sure. And you can follow convention, sure. But when you see what's going to be presented on stage, it's much more fluid. It's much more circular as opposed to linear. The Legacy Tap Dance Concert is something that I'm proud of. And right now I'm nervous, right? Because between now and the time we open this show, I have to pull all of these aspects together and become comfortable in this new space, this beautiful stage at High Park at the top of summer. It's something that has me excited. It's something that has me living in gratitude.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I'm living in that space of gratitude. Thank you, Lisa and Travis. I really was taking a lot of time thinking about the celebration. And in doing so, one of the things that I, of course, am considering is the fact that we get to do it outside under this big, beautiful open sky, that celebration. And so that's very meaningful for me in a number of different ways, because I'm thinking about the opportunity and connection with ancestors and spirit, and how meaningful that is to do it under this big open heaven, this big open sky. And so, Donny, the beautiful work that you are doing, Travis mentioned you are pushing the culture forward. I'm curious to know, we know that music from modern eras that are rooted in the traditions of Black American music will be featured. What I often consider, and I really enjoy talking about, is music and dance, the relationship, how live musicians are working with dancers on stage, and in particular, dancers who themselves are musicians. So talk to us about, Donny, how it is for you to work with tap dancers, because I know you've been working with Travis for a very, very long time.
I think for me, getting into this stuff we talked about this a few times at rehearsals now. I think one of my childhood heroes growing up, I had two. It was Michael Jackson and Savion Glover were my two. So growing up my whole life, that's just always been in the back of my head. And then an old student of both Travis and David Cox, I was teaching him a drum lesson, and I was like, man, you got great footwork. Like, your bass drum work is really clean. He's like, yeah, I'm actually a tap dancer, and I just lost it. And so I immediately grabbed him, and we were working together. And then through him, I found Travis, and I reached out to Travis, and we met. And from the first time, there was just so much musical conversation that was happening, and spirit. And just like, we're both yelling, like we're both loud performers. Not but in our instruments and vocally, we're both just and it was just so fun. And yeah, we just kind of we're always looking for how can we do something. As much so, like I've moved to Halifax, and I'm trying to line up. I'm looking at ways that we can bring this out there as well. This production show. My head's already been spinning. People have been messaging me when I've been posting about it, and so I'm like, got to do it again. Got to do it more. I know this is the first time for some of the musicians to be working with dancers for the first time, and so it's finding that rehearsal time where we had a chance to deal with that conversation element of. We want you to interject. We want you to say something. But it's not like a free-for-all free jazz thing of everyone just play stuff. Really be intentional about it. If what you're doing is complementing the space, absolutely. Just the issue of when we have that many tap dancers in the mix, there's that much more going on. So you have to be that much more particular about everything that you do. And so, yeah, it's just making sure everyone is super engaged for, over an hour straight of high intensity performance.
Yeah, I love that. And I see Travis and Lisa nodding. Timea, Timea, I want to go to you before I go back to Lisa and Travis, because I heard Donny. Donny, thank you so much for that. You were saying that people are already reaching out to you. Timea, does this mean, what are we looking at? Are we looking at, a future series that's going to be, are we going on tour with the celebration?
Let's talk dates.
Well, when we did the symposium in December, since then, I've been talking to a couple of presenters across the country who want this to come. COVID and other things are sort of just spacing out the timing, but there certainly is interest for this to happen in different communities because of the potential impact in all the different ways we've already talked about. So absolutely, it's something that can really go anywhere, both the symposium and the show, and have an impact. And so, yeah, we've been hearing from folks across the country about wanting us to come out there and repeat in a different way in their own communities, and include folks from their communities as well, so that they can. This is what it's about. It's the deepest part of a project like this is, once the show is done, what's the legacy you've left? And so in different communities that will look different, but it's folks of all ages connecting with tap dance, yes, wanting to learn more, wanting to dance more, wanting to present it more, all the stuff that's already happening just from this initial iteration.
Yes, beautiful. Beautiful. And as in Lisa's word, let's talk dates. Let's talk dates. I love that, Timea. Thank you. Lisa and Travis, yes, the both of you. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in response to Donny's share regarding the music and that collaboration that happens. So either of you, if you can share your thoughts.
For me, it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. The possibilities, the possibilities that manifest when working with musicians, and when we have the beautiful occasion of being in the same vibe together, and this like portal opens and something that you can't rehearse or predict happens. It is life. It's life affirming. And the group of musicians that Donny has assembled, it's all possible. Anything can happen. And I hope, I'm scared, but I still hope to be able to, at a certain point in the show, turn to Donny and transcend rhythmically. I have to say it like that as a tap dancer. I'm living a dream.
Ah, yes, yes. Elisa, your thoughts.
Amen.
Thank you, Travis.
Amen. I think the full synergy of the connections that we are recentering and refocusing, the ancestral spirit of this is there's no drum without dance. There's no dance without music, and there's no one before the other. It really is a union, and we're honoring tradition, and we're also crossing and connecting the cultures of our music and dance back together, because there's also been such a disconnect over time. We get in our silos. Okay, well, we tap dance wasn't called tap dance in the beginning. Jazz music, these are labels, right? And I look forward to Donny's. I'm sure I've heard him say this before, the first day, and this is when I was just like, oh yeah, we're in this, because I remember this great musician from Kansas, Bobby Watson, who played with Art Blakey. He grew up in Kansas City, and he was talking about his upbringing, and he was just like, my dad would bring in instruments and we would play everything. I'd go to church, we had to play the church music. We hear a record, we're playing everything. He didn't realize till once he was starting to gig, until he went to school, that he was playing what some people were calling jazz. He's like, man, when people call me a jazz musician, sure. But he's just like, I'm just playing the music. I'm just playing Black music. That's it. And that also reminds me of our great, I've spent time with Jimmy Slide. He calls it the dance. He doesn't call this tap dancing. He calls this the dance. So, we are playing music with Donny that is ours, that is rooted from us. And to echo what Travis was saying before about the vision that I had to bring Raul, who's in the hip hop street dance culture, and Sabrina, who comes from the Caribbean, who comes from Caribbean culture. Neither of them have ever existed in a dance studio, right? They're literally coming from the street culture. Once we all move together, it's the same. It's the same. So it's about the dance, it's about the music, and that's all it is.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm curious to know about the conversations as you start to mention the individuals that we'll see on stage. I'm curious. Can you fill me in on the conversations that are taking place to prepare everyone to have these conversations and shares on stage? What's happening at the rehearsals?
I mean, we're just getting to work. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've just done a lot of really hard work the past couple of days, right? And I think, like, Donny and we're just getting to know each other, right? And I remember for the first day, he's like, me and Travis, yeah, we like to fight. I was like, well, y'all haven't met me yet, so like I'm gonna step in and whatever, right? So it's been, but the thing and I love it because of this. I called or I texted Travis immediately, or called, I can't remember. Well, gosh, whatever day that was, the first day that we had a band rehearsal, and I was like, Donny cares. And that is a gift. It's such a gift. And I remember, like, feeling so silly to be really transparent in that first rehearsal when I was like, okay, hey y'all. So at this moment I made this feature so the tap dance could be like the solo. So when that's happening, if you don't mind, like, please don't blow over the top of when we, like, if we can compliment. Donnie's like, that's what's supposed to happen. I was like, oh, wow. So, I think everything between there and there, we just want this to be so good. You know, we wanted this to be so right. That, like, at this point, all this hard work that's gone in is just going to be a good time. Beautiful. What's happening in y'all's rehearsal?
I do want to share, like, you know, before stepping into this process, I just came back from doing shows in Europe and seeing the erasure of Black culture within tap dance, and being the only Black person in the space. I came into this process feeling pretty dark, and the feeling like the job ahead of me, the mission ahead of me is like this insurmountable responsibility. I felt dark, I'll put it that way. But in entering the room, led by masterful choreographer Lisa Latouche, she made space for me. And reminded me that we're here together. We're in this together. This is about us. This is for us. We're welcoming people into the space. And for me, as a dancer, as an artist, as a collaborator, to feel listened to without having to explain, you know, it's transformative. It's important, primal, I'd say. You know, essentially at the end of the day, Lisa, that first day, you gave us our marching orders. You know, remember why we're here. Remember the gift, and let's live in gratitude together.
A beautiful way to come to a close. Travis, I thank you for that. And I do want to, before I do start to come towards that close, wow, Travis, beautiful. I want to give space for any last shares from all of you as we prepare, as we celebrate, as we get excited. Any last shares from any of you?
Let's do the damn thing.
Thank you. You can go to danceimmersion.ca, go to the What's On tab and get your tickets. It is going to be an amazing celebration. We are, you know, from Dance Immersion's point of view, when I'm putting something together, when I have a vision, I always have multiple goals or multiple things I want to accomplish myself that I want for the organization as well. But as an artist, I know that, you know, the best way for me to do that is to give artists who haven't always had these opportunities the space to work in the way that they want to work and need to work. And that's how people do their best. It's just really simple, but it's just not that common here. For Black artists, especially dance artists. And so that's why Dance Immersion, you know, exists. And in this case, it's really important to me, not only to have the outcomes we talked about earlier. But there's things you can't really, that are sort of more intangible. So things that the artists here are talking about in terms of what happens when they get into the room together, and changes in perspective, or growth in perspective, or centering back on the perspective as you go forward, which helps in all future endeavors. But when we bring it back to that word legacy, we have an intergenerational cast here. And we have folks from a lot of different backgrounds and walks of life. And one of the things that's happening is that the artists are honoring those folks whose shoulders they're standing on in their dance and music cultures. But there's younger folks who are now climbing up onto the shoulders of Travis, Lisa, and Donny through this process, these artists in this show who are learning in the process and learning from being in the room with them. And so now they become the supports as they're standing on others' shoulders as well.
Yes, indeed, Timea. Timea, Donny, Lisa, and Travis. I got to tell you, I have so much love for all of you. I do. I feel it. I feel it. And I'm very excited because I know what a celebration like this means for us. And so my heart is beating out of my chest because of the love that I have for all of you in this space right now. I can't stop smiling. My face is hurting. That is how much I am smiling, and very excited to spend this time with all of you, to jump, to dance, to get free within the park. And I look forward to seeing you.
And let's say that too. Now, if you're at Hyde Park and you hear a backbeat and dare to move your shoulders, break your neck, wiggle something, come on now, have a good time.
Or just recognize that those spirits are waking you up and just let them do that thing. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am ready for it. And I am so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend this time. My love for all of you is so deep. I appreciate you. Thank you. Today, you are listening to the sounds of Cannonball Adderley with Autumn Leaves and John Coltrane with Blue Train. Welcome back to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Nicole Inica Hamilton. Well, folks, we are closing out the hour. I want to take this opportunity to again thank Timea, Donny, Lisa, and Travis for joining me on the show. Such a pleasure to sit down and share space with all of them today. And thank you to you for tuning in to the broadcast. To be sure to check out all of the great work that Dance Immersion is doing with the Legacy series. You can visit danceimmersion.ca to learn more. And visit us at turnoutradio.com to learn more about our show and to connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. Technical production of today's broadcast was facilitated by Amber Downey Back. And join us again next week, folks, right here on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Nicole Inica Hamilton. I hope your week finds you turning out to dance.
CIUT 89.5 FM, the sound of your city. Stream us anytime at www.ciut.fm.
Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time complication. So hush now, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Move on up and keep on wishing. Remember your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey rumors people say, but you can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move on up. Move on up. But move on up. Watch out, but just move on up.